Hello and welcome to the Secret Hit Songwriting Formula. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to subscribe, or if you're watching on Facebook, please be sure to like this page. We do weekly videos here showing you how to dissect and find the patterns found in hit songs throughout the decades, because there is a secret hit songwriting formula. All songs that are commercially successful on the radio must follow certain patterns in order to become successful. So, in this little video series so far, we have covered the formula of twos, we have covered the formula of threes, and we have covered the formula of fives. Now, those formulas are pretty popular compared to this formula we're about to explore today, which is the formula of sevens. However, formula of sevens still exists both in older hits and newer hits. It just occurs less frequently than those other three formulas we've learned so far. So today we will be looking at the song Still the Same by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, which follows the formula of sevens. And in the book, The Secret Hit Songwriting Formula, I also give three other examples of hit songs that follow the formula of sevens, different ones than this song, in fact. This is a bonus. And these sevens are a little harder to come by. So, quick word on the formula of sevens. 7 notes is about the longest our ear has the patience to listen and to discern a single motif of music. You keep hearing me use the word motif in these videos, and you know, the word motif or motive, if you will, either one, motive, motif, both mean the same thing. A motif is a single recognizable phrase, a short recognizable phrase of music. And it's usually divided by these little rhythmic groupings of 2 notes or 3 notes or 5 notes like we've been looking at. That's a motif, a little phrase of music that our ear can latch onto. Well, 7 notes is about the longest single motif. It's the longest our ears have the patience to latch onto a single motif, 7 notes. So the formula of sevens is as high as we count as far as these secret formulas go. Now, that doesn't mean that we'll have covered all of the secret formulas after this video. No, there's another one, and there's some other rules and stuff to learn yet, so stay tuned for that. So anyway, formula of sevens, as with everything so far, the concept of the secret hit songwriting formula is the concept of self-similarity. That means that each song section must contain a rhythmic hook that the other song sections also contain. All of the song sections, whether it's a verse, chorus, bridge, what have you, must contain the same rhythmic motif hook in them. So in this case of Still the Same by Bob Seger, we're looking for a 7-note rhythmic hook. So let's start by analyzing. You always won, 1 da da da, 1 2 1 2. We're just going to say that's kind of insignificant, so we give it this syllable. This is the syllable for insignificant, or this is the symbol rather for insignificant syllable. Always one. But here we go. We have a rest here, and then we hear every time you placed a bet. Now listen to that rhythm, because that's a rhythm we're going to hear repeating as a motif, a 7-note motif throughout this whole song. Da 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 da. Clearly 7 syllables. Every time you placed a bet. Again, the numbers indicate the key rhythmic phrase we're trying to identify. Obviously, the word bet doesn't have 7 syllables. That's not what that means. It just is a 7-note rhythmic motif that we're looking for. Okay, on to the next line. You're still damn good. There's that da 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 da, 1 2 1 2 again, so that's just insignificant. But then here's that motif again. Da 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 da. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay. Let's see what happens next. Every time. That's just kind of its own thing again. Every time. Insignificant. They were sure they had you caught. There's a nice 7-note motif again. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. You were quicker than they thought. There's another 7-note motif. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. You just turn your back and walk. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, cool. So we've clearly established in this first verse here a 7-note motif. There are some insignificant syllables, but we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perfectly congruent 7-note phrases. Okay, so that's pretty clear and obvious. So by the way, that 7-note hook that we keep talking about looks like this if we were to write out the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? Now, as we move on to the second verse, we're going to see Bob Seger take some more liberties with the syllables. However, the second verse still follows the formula of 7's because, as we talk about in the book, The Secret Hit Songwriting Formula, sometimes these motifs or hooks establish themselves by occurring in the same place in the measure every single time. And when they occur in the same place in a measure of music every single time they appear, that's cluing us into something, that is the motif, and it doesn't matter if there's extra notes sprinkled right before here or maybe right after here, but as long as these core 7 notes in that motif are always starting on beat 1 like this and ending on the and of 4 like this, then we can still say that has clearly established itself as a 7 no matter what's going on around it. So let's take a look at how that plays out in this verse. Since we already established the clear 7's in the first verse, you always said the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why did we mark that extra one as insignificant? Because here's where cards would never do you wrong. Here's where that rhythm begins on the downbeat of beat 1 and ends like that. That's where that occurs. So that's still following the 7's formula. The trick you said was same thing here. Never play the game too long. Why do we do it like that? Because never play the game too long never starts on the downbeat of 1. And that's that motif again, okay? And that just continues in the second verse. A gambler share the only risk that you would take. So the words are changing, but the rhythm is staying the same. The only loss you could forsake. The only bluff you couldn't fake. Okay? So he takes some rhythmic liberties with that second verse, but it still follows the formula of 7's because there's a 7-note motif always occurring in the downbeat of beat 1 and ending on the and of 4 like that when it appears, okay? So it doesn't matter what's sprinkled before and after. Cool. Then we move on to the chorus, I suppose, if you want to call it that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't really fit, so we're just going to say insignificant. And your marker, still the same. Oh, now here's this rhythm again. I caught up with you yesterday. Now the downbeat of beat 1 doesn't happen till right here, right? 2, 3, because if we're counting out the beats. And you're still the same. I caught, so right on the downbeat of beat 1 is where that word caught comes, right? Oh, sure enough, downbeat of beat 1. And then here's the 7 notes again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See how that works? How we can keep identifying by counting the beats of music, and then we can see that it's continuing to follow that formula. Moving game to game. Oh, now we can go strictly by syllable, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if it's just 7 obvious syllables, great, it's following the formula of 7's. If there's other notes peppered around it, then that's okay. We just need to make sure that we still see this 7-note motif starting on the downbeat of 1 here and ending on the and of 4 like that. Okay? The chorus part, whatever you want to call it, goes on. Turning on the charm. Now we have more 7's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you're still the same. You still aim high. Those are just kind of all insignificant. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Doesn't matter. Not every phrase needs to come out in 7's, right? As we talk about in the book, as long as that motif, in this case the 7-note motif, is established firmly every 4 measures. And this is one way it can establish itself, as we've talked about, by appearing in the same place in the measure every time it appears. That's one way it can establish itself. So as long as the motif has established itself once every 4 measures, that's good enough in each section, of course, and it's certainly done that in this section. Okay, and then quickly to finish it out, after that solo section, he comes back with "There You Stood," back to some more clear 7-note motifs. "Everybody watched you play. I just turned and walked away. I had nothing left to say." He wraps it up on a clear, obvious 7 again. Okay? So there we have it. Still the Same by Bob Seger follows the formula of 7's. And we establish a 7-note motif, da 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 da, which always happens to occur like that, da 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 da. Okay? And that's how we can clearly identify this song as a 7. Not only because that motif always occurs like this in the measure when it occurs, but also because of the 7-syllable phrases that we see so firmly established once every 4 measures of each section. All right, if you need more help with this, please visit www.secrethitsongwritingformula.com, where we have the only ebook in the world that gives away all these secret formulas that no other songwriting books have to offer. And it's all organized in one place. Several examples of multiple hits across all kinds of decades for each formula, so that you can see that these formulas play out again and again and again. These are the tools that you will need and the patterns you're going to need to want to put in your own compositions to make them more commercially appealing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.